Off top, Kevin Harlan. First job in sports was ball boy for the Green Bay Packers. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I'm joined by Charlie, a.k.a. the Vanilla Snack Kravitz. We are going to get into this game that made us look dumb. We should have known better. But anyway, Charlie, set it up for us.
Oh, man. Where to start? We're taping this at 10:49 p.m. Eastern after the Nuggets won Game 4 over Minnesota. It is now a 2-2 series after the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards punched the defending champs in the mouth for the first two games, and the Nuggets went on the road and won 2 in a row. Series doesn't start till home team wins, apparently. I got to ask you, Domonique, though, watching this game, I mean, this game, it ruled. There's so many things to get into.
Ruled.
Does it feel to you, though, that the Nuggets have figured out the Timberwolves?
I mean, I hate to do this. It's so like it is very NBA playoffsy, especially for this podcast, because we are on record of saying that the Wolves had this locked up. The Murray injury was too much. The athleticism was too much. This is the first time you already used the cliche of punch in the mouth, but we went through the Nuggets championship run last year and their playoff series this year. And was like, yeah, they never really been tested. They had injuries and kind of a cakewalk to the championship. Let's see what happens when they get tested. Got tested, and the answer was incredible. So while I am not going to make myself look foolish by going full pendulum swing the other direction, it kind of feels like they got it. And like for me, it comes down to like the offense. And in my defense, even after the Wolves were up 2-0, I mentioned how I still don't feel like their offense looks good. And that was what it seemed like was the problem for me is late game. And it's not even late game like last 5 minutes, but like the whole fourth quarter, it felt like we were looking at an offense versus it kind of, and I mean, we do lean on a lot of football analogies in this show, but it's fine. We like football, so do y'all. So
Football rules.
It felt like the difference in a complete offense and someone who's looking for matchups. Where it's like, this is a well-orchestrated offense that has options, has answers for the blitz, has decisions for when you go zone blitz or when you go 3 or cover 4. Like they had built-in answers to everything. And it felt like on the other side, it was like, all right, let's find the matchup we like. Or honestly, more than that, it was like, go get it done. And nobody can do that. Like we've learned this lesson in the past, like LeBron versus the Spurs. It felt like not the first time LeBron versus Spurs, not second time LeBron versus Spurs, but we've seen this story so many times. No matter how great Ant is, it's gonna be hard when Jokic is getting hockey assists and regular assists, and also. I know you got a lot of good stuff on there, but the last thing I want to say is as much as we talk about how the game has evolved, the Nuggets give the ball to Jokic in the post, and he does post moves. Nobody does post moves. That man does post moves and scores baskets and then requires your defense to adjust, which leads to opening everything up, not to mention how valuable Jamal Murray was. So, yeah, I'm going to shut up because there's so much more to say, and I'm just rambling at this point, but they're impressive.
No, I mean, like let's put it this way. Like, Jokic played so well in that fourth quarter. The 16 points, they tried doubling him. They tried zoning him up. He made clutch after clutch shot. He stopped run after run. That we just went 5 minutes without being very specific that Anthony Edwards scored 44 points and had stretches where it was like, it was a joke how good he was, how dominant he was physically. He went 5 for 8 from 3, 44 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He played 45 minutes. The Wolves won those minutes. They won those minutes by 5. He sat 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and they lost by 13 in those minutes. In that 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It's crazy that Jokic was able to erase that. But to me, it's like, it's not just Jokic. Minnesota's offense, to your point, they need anything out of their role guys like Karl Anthony Towns, Naz Reid, and Nikhil Alexander Walker. Cat wasn't there at all tonight, like whatsoever. He was an unmitigated disaster offensively in the first half, picked it up a little bit in the second half, but was sort of spastic. Like, they need him to play like a star player for them to have a chance. Like, Gobert got cooked, Towns got cooked. Naz Reid, they're just expecting so much from. And this has really been who Minnesota's been offensively all year. Like, they played out of their shoes in the first 2 games of this series, and the games were so physical. They're being refereed differently. And Denver made the big adjustment. They said, okay, you're gonna pressure Murray 94 feet, make it so he can't dribble the ball past half court. All right, whatever. We'll have Aaron Gordon dribble the ball up, and we'll start our offense casually. And it changed everything. That's a huge adjustment.
I love that you brought up Aaron Gordon because I think that he's an incredible part to this team. He balled last series, he's balling this series, and it's not just the offensive points that he's scoring, although that's impressive. And we that compared to the kind of lack of
27
scoring,
points, 11 for
yeah,
12 from the field in this game. It's
that's incredible.
outrageous.
That is incredible. And compared to the lack of like role players, because that's what Aaron Gordon is. I know the Magic thought he was going to be more than that, but he is like a high end role player, and the role player is not stepping up for Minnesota. But I do want to take a second to appreciate his offensive contribution and even his passing ability and whatever mind meld that him and Jokic have to for Jokic to find him.
Visited him to
Uh,
Serbia
yeah,
twice this summer.
that's it.
He
That
met
is it.
he met his horses.
That is it. I mean, you go meet the horses, and then you are in there with Jokic. But I think all of that stuff is important. But I also think that the defense that he plays and his like flexibility or versatility, I guess is a better word, defensively, is goes underappreciated. And I know we criticize the Wolves' offensive structure because it doesn't seem to be all that dynamic, but it also is hindered by the fact that that guy is athletic and long and
Mhm.
as almost as comfortable on the perimeter as he is on the inside. So he's making a big difference. So if they have better, even though they're not deep, and that was one of the things that we thought mattered was like the depth that the Wolves have, the quality, I don't think we can argue that the quality at the top of the roster for the Nuggets is stronger than the quality at the top of the roster for the Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, they're not having him drop back on screens anymore either. He's
Yeah,
getting the ball with traps out of Edwards and Conley's hands and making Gobert make plays. Here's the thing about the Wolves offense. They were 17th in offensive rating during the regular season.
right.
The Cavs were 16th for context. And I really, after 4 games in this series, I will ask you this. We're going through all the cliches, all the pendulum swing
Let's
cliches.
do it.
Outside of Edwards, who is taking this leap, and it's unbelievable to watch. Is there another guy on Minnesota who you trust offensively?
Who I trust to make me laugh? Rudy Gobert.
Come on.
Oh man, those free throws and when Jokic
So the
pulled the
answer is
chair
no.
on him.
Should we be clear?
Yeah.
The answer
I
is
mean,
no.
I can't get into my jokes. Like, no, I don't trust anybody else in those situations. I will be positive though about one thing that Ant does that I appreciate is he attacks the basket. And I think that while I've pointed out that their offense isn't all that sophisticated, the first step is to attack the basket. That's the same thing as Jokic like doing post moves. It's like, all right, I'm gonna punch you in the gut, and that's gonna weaken everything else. And he does that. But I'm gonna need McDaniel to hit them shots. I'm gonna need Conley to hit some threes. I need Walker to hit some threes. And yeah, Gobert is a tough one though, man. Because and this is the thing. This is the thing. This is the Gobert thing. And we all said that it was over because they play such great defense and Gobert's offensive woes are not a thing. But if you're not gonna be able to stop Jokic, and I felt like he wasn't matched up on Jokic as much as I would have liked him to be. But if you're not going to be able to play Jokic man to man and not let him destroy in the paint, then you're always going to be a minus on offense, Gobert. So, like, this is how we end up in a situation that the Jazz were in, where it's like, we can't play this
No,
guy.
no, no. Hold on.
What?
They got to play some center. Like, who are they going to
No,
play? They can't put Towns out there on him. They
I'm
can't
not
put
saying.
Naz Reid
I'm not
out
saying.
there.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they. Yeah, Towns is an answer. Nas Reed holds up decently, but he's not the answer either. There is no answer for Jokic, I guess is the point. And
Yeah.
if you're not going to be able to slow Jokic, then we might as well put somebody who can score on the other end. And that's the tough thing. And that's why you end up with the Gobert situation. But they don't have anybody who can score the other end because them fools ain't hitting them shots either. It sucks.
Rudy Gobert after the game. I just seeing this about Aaron Gordon going 11 for 12. A lot of them were contested. So if Gordon turns into Kobe Bryant, we just got to live with that. Stop it, man. I mean, he went 2 for 2 from 3. He did hit some contested shots, but like, dude, have some self-awareness. One time, Rudy. We do need to mention this. We can't go without this. The Timberwolves got their back absolutely broken in the final 15 seconds of the first half.
Yeah.
They had a run to where it should have been an 8-point game, which is what they lost, which is what they ended up losing by. It should have been a 7-point game. They gave up 8 points in the last 19 seconds of the half, including a 60-footer from, 65-footer from Jamal Murray, who immediately went over to Kevin Harlan. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, that's what prompted the Kevin Harlan Googling. Obviously, like, hey, let me learn a little bit about Kevin Harlan. And his dad was an executive for the Packers, so he was a ball boy. But yeah, they ended up losing by 8 points, also, which those things are somewhat connected. But I feel like they might have lost anyway. But
Yeah.
that did feel like a dagger of as much of a dagger sequence as you can have at the end of the first half. That certainly felt like one, and it was cool as hell.
I just don't know how Minnesota adjusts offensively going back to Denver. I mean, look, it's really hard to win 3 games on the road in a series against the defending champs. And I actually don't know what they're going to do offensively to make it easier for them. Like, Edwards just played the best basketball game I've ever seen him play. It's incredible. I'm not saying he can't do it again. I would never say that. He was completely relentless and seemed unstoppable. But like, it's the answer can't just be like, oh yeah, we just need to make a lot more contested shots. Like, it seems like
Yeah.
the counter was made, and I don't know what they're going to do other than be
Hold
better
on.
at basketball.
To be clear, before this series started, we put our heads together and was like, we're going to pick the Nuggets because Edwards has to eventually cool off. Then we saw 2 games and was like, oh, it's over. The Wolves are too athletic. Now we're at a point where you're like, I'm sure Edwards will not cool off, but I also know that they can't win. I'm not telling you right or wrong. I just would like to make sure that we are clear about what we just talked about and the path that we've been on. It's probably the path that most NBA fans have been on, but they don't have podcasts. So we need to hold ourselves accountable.
We have acquired more information. we have a larger sample size.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
We also
Jokic.
look. I don't want to be like the Debbie Downer on this, but we got to talk about one of the key differences is the refs. Like,
yeah, yeah. So when
I
you said
mean,
I don't know what adjustments they can make, that's the adjustment that they can make is
they
the refs can go back to the way that they ref the first 2 games.
which is just go to NBA 2K and turn fouls off and let Jaden McDaniels and Alexander Walker completely maul everyone on the perimeter.
I mean, you played NBA Jam, right? I'm not that old. You're
Yeah.
aware of NBA Jam. Oh yeah. What
Yeah,
about
of
you know
course.
how I'm
NBA
you know how I'm established that I'm the old guy. What about Arch Rivals? You ever play Arch Rivals?
Never heard
Never
of it.
even heard of it. All right, there's
No.
plenty of 40-year-olds out there like, oh yeah, I remember Arch Rivals. You have to Google it. You had to have a quarter in the arcade to play Arch. God damn, I'm old.
I literally
go
thought you were
in
going to say I
arcade.
played it. I thought you were going to say I played it on an abacus.
That was terrible. No, you can't play games with
man.
an abacus. It's a terrible joke.
Okay, well, I got a chuckle out of you for how bad of a joke it was.
Yeah, that was a courtesy. That was a hey, we host this show together. I love you courtesy chuckle, but it wasn't
I thought it was you were just shocked by how bad it was that it was good.
Yeah, but you gotta Google Arch Rivals. I'm telling you, I know you don't appreciate it, but all my keep telling them what they need to hear, young blood. They are appreciating it. There was a black dude with a green mohawk on the cover. They used to just punch each other. It was an awesome video game. No rights, no NBA rights. They used to do it. It was great. I'm sure it
Mhm.
doesn't hold up. Nothing ever holds up, but Arch Rivals was
It literally looks like Dennis Rodman punching Larry Bird in the face. The
exactly.
cover of it.
Yeah,
Um,
they didn't have the rights. They did have the rights.
but yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting going back into Denver to see if they let the guys play more physically again. I mean, it's not like this is not the NBA pre-February. These games have still been incredibly physical. Um, but the game 2 was just so stark. That's how they seemed to kill Denver's will in that game.
All right, before we go on to discuss the rest of the games and do our little time traveling bit, um, I'm gonna go back to one of my hobby horses that I know is gonna annoy you. I mean, I'm not saying that they should fix the games, but I want these series to be extended because it's so fun. It's so
You
fun.
want
Can y'all
7?
don't you? That game was so intense. It felt like after watching the Eastern games earlier, like that was like, oh, this what champions look like. Like whoever wins this series like I would like to see this keep going.
So I would love to see a game 7.
Yeah.
Best 2 words in sports. With that said, there were a lot of people that were like sharpening their knives, getting ready to on Jokic, to take a big dookie on top of Jokic.
Oh man,
And
this is how
my
we know that.
analogy really fell apart
Yeah,
here from
yeah,
knives to dookie.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. You're tired. I forgive you. You are tired. It's not at the peak of your game. Who poops with a
but
fork and
I don't know. Not me. Um,
knife?
but a lot of people were getting ready to just turn on Jokic, call him a fraud, say he wasn't
Yeah.
that good. There would be something really delicious about him just turning around and winning 4 in a row and being like, "All right, you think I can't handle adversity? Well, this is what I've done to your precious little Jordan." Um, and also, I want to go back to one of my hobby horses, which has gone not mentioned enough in this, which is just how damn valuable Jamal Murray is to this team. Like offensively, when him and Jokic are out there, it's not the stat sheet. Like he had 19 points, 19, 5, and 8. It's that two-man game. Anytime they're in trouble, the complete control they have offensively, like they make them guard all 24 seconds of the possession, all 5 guys on the floor, but it flows out of those two. And their decision making with elite defenders in their face is preposterous. And it's Jokic and Murray together, but Murray was the one who was struggling so much in those first 2 games.
Good job, Charlie. I mean, I did mention it earlier, but I guess I didn't go as in depth as you. So I appreciate you and a little bit more color or a lot more color to that. Something that Charlie Kravitz is not known for, and color
Mhm.
to the Domonique Foxworth Show. See, that's called a quality joke. Now let's talk about the rest of the games.
I didn't know if I was allowed to laugh.
All right, Charlie, let's talk about our Knicks. We all loved them. It was fun acting crazy outside of MSG, talking and banging bongs, but it ain't quite that much fun anymore.
I mean, I don't even know what to say about this series. It's 2-2, but I have to ask you, in a 2-2 series, does this feel like it's over? Does it feel like the Knicks missed their window by not going up 3-0 when they tied up that game 3?
It feels like it, but I also like when I was trying to like talk sense last week and say these are playoffs and things swing like a pendulum, and we don't want to get too high. Then we saw those other series, the like tenor change, and I jumped on your side. And then all the teams that we thought had it under control gave up games. I want to be the pragmatist again. However, there's something different about this series, and the different thing is Tom Thibodeau runs his boys into the ground. And this isn't some new revelation. I assume every podcast you listen to, every show you watch is talking about how Tom Thibodeau has run these boys into the ground. They've gotten as far as they can get. But I don't know how else to analyze this game other than that. They're down to just the bare minimum, and they're fighting. I think that they will put up a fight. It won't be easy, but it's hard to imagine that they're going to get healthier, fresher, better, and Dante's going to return to earth as he did in that last game because he was out of his mind the game before that. That's the game that they should have won. Like the series over if they go up 3-0, right? And then they blew that game, and now it feels like whatever momentum that they have It's teetering, if not gone.
You know what? I have a slightly different take.
Uh
I'm not sad that it's over. I'm not. I'm truly not. I'm
oh.
just happy that it happened and all the friends we made along the way.
We can't. Okay. See that you said the word that I needed to hear you say to be able to put up a fight for other direction. It's 2-2. It's not over. Like,
No, it's over.
we can't give up on yeah, it's over. We can't give up on our Knicks. I do want to say that I appreciate Tom Thibodeau for making me seem like a better Mother's Day participant than I would have been otherwise. Because I could give up on this game before halftime, and I'm all involved in the Mother's Day festivities once again. I don't have to watch this game for my job. I feel like I'm sacrificing. Appreciate it, Tommy.
Do you think Tom Thibodeau is what would happen if an NFL coached an NBA team?
I actually do because there's 17 games in the NFL season. So yeah, you're gonna play every snap. You're gonna get out there. You can't miss any downs. We can't give up any plays. Tom Thibodeau does play like he is in the NFL playoffs, no matter whether it's game 12 of the regular season or game 7 of the NBA. Well, not the NBA Finals. He ain't been there.
The Falcons should have hired Tom Thibodeau to replace Arthur Smith. Kyle Pitts would have cooked with Tom Thibodeau coaching him.
That's funny that they are opposite sides of the same coin. Tom Thibodeau is going to use his guys too much, and Arthur Smith is not going to use his guys quite enough. They should combine and become one human coach. I think it might be a smart coach, be more pragmatic.
You're probably right. I shouldn't write them off in a 2-2 series yet because they're playing the Pacers, who don't play much defense, and Jalen Brunson's a magician. Like at every turn, no matter how bad his foot is, you never know what he's going to do coming out in game 5. The Garden crowd is going to be amazing. Like if they can keep that game close, the Garden is going to be electric for game 5. But the bummer is I really would have liked to see a healthy version of this Knicks team play the Celtics, not even because there's some great matchup, some great team, but just like
Yeah.
the energy, the atmosphere, how tough this team is. That would have been a very fun series.
It does feel like whatever questions we have about the Celtics, the Knicks would be like, because I think we think of the Celtics as kind of, even though they play great, tough defense, we think of it as a jump shooting finesse team. And whatever the Knicks are, they are the opposite. So, like a healthy
Yeah.
version of the Knicks, even though it's a lot like the Heat, like it's
Yeah.
like the Heat team that knocked out the Celtics last year. It's like there's a superstar leading a team that no one really thinks is an A1 superstar, but actually turns into one in certain situations, like Jimmy Butler was last year. And then there's a bunch of other guys who are role players who play above their head and play really hard, physical, aggressive defense, and they're tough. That would have been a good test. But the problem is you're thinking of a scenario that we both know never would come to fruition. A full healthy
Yeah.
Knicks team in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like they can't make it there that way because of the things that we've already mentioned. So I think the best thing to do is what you already did is like, let's enjoy it, celebrate it, and maybe appreciate the fact that we can have them go out in this. Okay, I'm saying it's over again, but if it's over, they can go out in this round and we can point to the injuries and we don't have, because they have become kind of the darling of NBA fans.
Yeah.
We don't have to watch them fully healthy get their beat by a team that's much more talented than them. We can say that it was the circumstances that got in the way. We can still love them. And 5 years from now, talk about, remember when Brunson lit up the Garden?
I genuinely hope that this is a situation where they're back, they're improved next year. The team chemistry with the Nova 3 is even better next year, and it's not a Todd Gurley situation. It doesn't feel like Todd Gurley after he won Player of the Year and then he was just gone next year. I'm still hopeful. I know basketball's a different game, and Brunson is so damn good. But I don't want to see a situation where we look up and the minutes catch up to them, and next year it's like Brunson's out for 30 games, Josh Hart's out for 30 games, and they aren't the same team. I'm hoping this is the beginning of building something, and that's not even to say the series is over. Like I've been wrong about pretty much every one of my predictions when I call a series over. So this is a great reverse jinx, Knicks fans. You're welcome.
Good opportunity to remind everybody that Todd Gurley is 29 years old. Football, everyone's favorite game. He is right now 29. I just Googled it because I feel like I remember a couple years ago being shocked that he was 27.
I thought he was
Uh,
younger.
He's not. His knees aren't.
Let's pivot to some of the games from Saturday.
Hold on. Before you do that, I need to make a confession. I'm podcasting in a hostile environment right now. I'll have you know
Oh,
that there's lots of noise in my house. One of the sounds that I'm listening to is my 11-year-old son who joined me in my little podcast area and was standing off to the side farting, just just cutting them, just
I love
ripping
boys.
toots, just ripping toots while I'm trying to podcast. Get out of here. Go upstairs.
Declan's a legend.
Did I tell you about the time when he farted at first take?
No,
Yeah, this happened. So,
the
they were out of
gall,
school.
the
Yeah,
unmitigated gall.
there was no mitigation. We were the family was just visiting me in New York while I was hosting First Take, and so they came in the studio, which normally no one's allowed in the studio while you're filming, but they are like, "All right, it's enough. You and the cat, get out of here. You and Lamar Jackson scram." So they're allowed in the studio. It's probably like it's pre-COVID, so I guess like 3 years ago, and he's sitting there, and it's quiet. We're on air, just rips one. And so the mics don't pick it up, obviously, because we have like live mics right on our neck. But all of us are looking at each other and trying not to laugh, but just keep it going. And we made it to commercial break. I think I might have like put it on Instagram or something or tweeted about it a while ago. But yeah, that's good preteen boys and their sophisticated humor.
Preteen boys, I would laugh at that now.
Yeah, no, it's
So
pretty
it's
damn
so
funny,
cute.
honestly. I don't see. That's the one thing is I have discipline. While I do think it's funny, I know better than to laugh at it. I don't encourage it.
Some of my fondest memories from going to an all boys high school was in the middle of chapels. Like once every couple months, there'd be an extended moment of silence, and someone would just absolutely rip one.
Oh man, so I used to want to go when I was young. That like one of the football powers in Baltimore County, well, in Baltimore City actually was Mount St. Joe. And when I
Yeah,
was like 9, 10 years old, I was like, I want to go to Mount St. Joe. And we can't afford to go to Mount St. Joe, so I ended up going to public school. And I'm so happy I didn't go to an all boys school because you're right. Just being around a bunch of boys, like you need some other energy to like mitigate the decision making because I can't imagine at any point being around an all boys school. Just the stupidity multiplied is just dangerous and disgusting.
okay, but imagine a college football locker room, and that's the entire school.
That does not sound fun. It's just fights, it's dumb naked jokes, random fights. Everyone, that's one thing though, is we don't stay mad at each other for long. The
That's right.
grudges get settled quick. Everybody is friends. We hate each other for 30 seconds, and everyone is dirty and stinks. Ugh.
You also just like the. It's fine if you're not the top dog. You just can't be the bottom dog. That's it.
That is pretty much it. It is everyone talking about who's going to be the alpha. No, you just don't want to be the bottom. You can fit in the middle
That's it.
somewhere, but don't be the bottom.
You can
We're about to
hide
talk about
anywhere but the
basketball.
bottom. Oh yeah, we can talk about
Yeah,
basketball.
these exciting, riveting games.
Yeah. We'll move to the Saturday night games. The Mavericks, they have a 2-1 lead over your beloved Thunder, your baby Thunder. Luca is hurt. I mean, Kyrie's been excellent. Luca still made an impact on winning. PJ Washington's been insane. But does it feel to you like the right team is winning the Thunder Mavs series?
I'd say no, because that was one of the series that we both kind of proclaimed, like, yeah, this one's over. Luca's hurt. They don't have enough bodies. They keep sending waves of talented, long, athletic defenders, and the trust that they have in all of their players to make plays in big moments. Like, this is what we're saying about the Thunder, and I believed it to be true. And I don't think it really hasn't changed to me. Like, all that stuff still feels true. I'm not sure how exactly to explain what's happening. I think I could fall back on the crutch of just saying like they're just young, but that doesn't feel like an honest answer. And it's not even like the refs are the answer, because if the refs are helping anybody, it feels like the Thunder, the way they are beating the out of Luca. And although Dort fouled out, he got his money's worth on most of those fouls throughout that game. So I still feel like the Thunder are a better all around team. So I would say no, it doesn't feel like the right team is with it, but I don't know that I have some smart reason why.
Watching Luka Doncic right now genuinely feels like the touch football scene in Wedding Crashers, where Vince Vaughn is the quarterback. He's like, I was first team All State. I can put the ball wherever. I can make it rain out here. And Bradley Cooper, as Sack, just annihilates him on every play. And Owen Wilson keeps looking back with Rachel McAdams. And Vince Vaughn's just on the ground in a heap, grabbing his knee. That's Luka every single play.
It does feel like that. He's just getting when his first he hit his mouth on the ground in one game, and then he hit the back of his head on the ground in the next game, and they say they can't play football. Please, Luca could be a tight end, and Lou Dort could be a runner. Didn't Pat say that?
Ma-
Patrick Mahomes said that. Yeah,
Mahomes went to the announcing crew and said that Lou Dort could play in the NFL right now.
yeah. I know. Everybody who's listening to this knows where I fall on it. I'm a trader. Those basketball athletes are better than us. They could come over and play our game quicker than we could play theirs.
The crazy thing to me is if you looked at the Thunder Mavs series, and we said before the series, what's the reason that a team is going to be winning 2-1? You would have thought from the Thunder side, it's SGA, it's Chet, it's Jalen Williams. From the Maverick side, you would have said, oh, Luka and Kyrie are cooking. And obviously, Kyrie has been excellent in the series, even in the game 2 where he had 9 points. He still operated the offense. But this series to me has been defined by role players. PJ Washington has gone full Caleb Martin. Like, this dude is shooting, he's averaging 22 points per game for the series. He's shooting 54% from 3 for the series. And part of that is he's able to play the 4 against a small Thunder team and be incredibly effective. And the Thunder have not been able to keep the Mavs off the glass. But it's not just that. It's the Mavs. It's the Thunder on the other side. Josh Giddey's been an unmitigated disaster. And they haven't totally sat him down. He played 11 minutes in game 3 and was a minus 20. And it's not even that he can't shoot. It's his complete apprehension to shoot. And if he's out there to be a playmaker, like they're not guarding him. They're giving him the Tony Allen treatment. And it's like they need to figure out something quick to put him on the bench. I mean, of course, you could just put in Casey Wallace or Isaiah Joe or whatever, but they have to do something quick because that is losing the series on the fringes. If you thought it was going to be about roster depth, you would just assume that the Thunder are going to win the series, and instead, it's the Mavs having a role player turning into a star.
One thing about the depth is you would think in this team that's really unselfish in the Thunders, you would think that because you're deep and you're unselfish, that when someone is the fart in the silent chapel, you can go ahead and bench that person. And that's the shocking thing is like we all recognize that Josh Giddey ain't helping them. And I think the stats back that up too. So why does Josh Giddey keep getting minutes and getting like decision-making opportunities? And to your point, it's not only that he's not hitting the shots, it's that he's not taking them. It just feels like it's a dead spot that they don't need. And it's not like he's overwhelmingly rebounding or locking down. Like it doesn't seem like he's a plus anywhere where it's not even worth what it's costing. Like Tony Allen, you could argue, even though they eventually gave up on him, you could argue that what he is losing on offense, he's providing some value on defense. Like, I don't feel like we're getting anything from Giddey except for just bad play and embarrassment.
I mean, Giddey didn't fart. He's completely his pants. I do need to ask him. Well, no, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
You're an athlete. You've been on
Was.
pro teams. I know you love that when I say that. How hard is it as a teammate though to see one of the guys you've sort of gone to war with? He's been in that starting group to just see him benched in big moments. Because I assume that's why Dagnall's kept him in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I think some coaches worry about losing a guy mentally for the rest of the game. I'll say it may depend as a player on that team. It may depend on how much goodwill this player has with you. But again, this might be just a difference in football and basketball. And like basketball is the long-term picture. It's a marathon, whereas football is kind of a series of sprints. If he ain't got it, man, get his out. Like that's kind of the feeling. And I've been that guy before. They ain't have it. And no one would say it to you, but I know that people are thinking as a cornerback, you have bad days. And people like, the circumstances are much more heightened. And so like every game feels like a game 7 or a game 5. And it does feel like guys are looking around. But part of the problem in football, and I guess it's every sport, is we also know the guy behind him is worse.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's different to this is I'm not sure that that's true.
Right.
And I imagine some of the guys on the team are kind of like, and it doesn't feel like Josh Giddey is a team favorite. Like at least based on some of the social media behavior of one Chet Holmgren. Like I can't imagine that they are going full Rudy in Dagnall's office and throwing their jersey down for Josh Giddey. That's all I'll say about that.
That's fair. All right, let's move to the last game. We got to talk Celtics Cavs. The Celtics are probably going to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
They have held their opponents under 100 points in all but 2 games this postseason so far. With that said, does something just not look right with this Celtics team?
So, yes, but I feel like I'm being unfair and we're being unfair because they've lost 2 games and 2 series, and both of those games are kind of easily explained away by modern basketball, like 3-point variance. Like it's absurd 3-point variance in both of those games. All the rest of the games, they're in complete control. But I do have to admit that I was texting the group chat during that last game, like, Celtics about the Celtics again. And I think it's in part because I'm carrying over what I saw happen to them last year in the Heat series, where they were obviously more talented than the Heat team, but they just lost and kind of folded a little bit. And then it's also the Golden State series, where it's like, you guys are actually better than this Golden State team. And they had a lead and ended up losing, kind of folding in that game too. And I think you compound that with the style of play, and particularly the style of their A1 player, is one that suggests, all right, I don't want to get into cliche land, but I feel like I'm getting close to it. But there's a different
Say it with your
way.
chest. Say it with your chest, Foxworth.
Yeah, I think it's that he doesn't say anything with his chest, or he doesn't play with his chest. And this is not news. It's like
Are you calling Jason Tatum a pretty boy jump shooter?
he's a step back guard. He's a step back guard, which, like, I love a good step back. But when you have a roster like they have, when it's healthy and they have Porzingis out there stretching the floor and the lane is open, like, I need somebody to get in there and make them pay when they go 5 out, like threatening to dribble in. Like Jason Tatum dunked on LeBron. Remember that? That was the
He
Jason
boomed him.
Tatum that was back when we were like, this is gonna be his league soon. I ain't seen that dude in forever. Where he been? Like now he turned
Yeah.
into like a James Harden-esque. No, that's not fair. He's not. But I just mean the step back thing got me, and it's like he's not like a foul merchant like James Harden, and he has had big playoff moments, and he's still young. So put it, and there's no
19,
insult. James
19.
Harden's a multiple time MVP, so it's not an insult, but it does
One-time
kind of feel
MVP.
like he didn't win two. He only got one.
He won one and complained about finishing second multiple times.
Oh yeah, he was mad at Giannis for stealing that one because he said Giannis just bigger and stronger than everybody, right? Yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
the point is, I feel like I don't have any legitimate analysis to back this up. It's just vibes, and that feels
No,
unfair.
no, it's weird. It's like this is a team that's won 64 games. Like they're
Right.
clearly an excellent defensive team. They do miss Porzingis. Like
Yeah.
we all saw the record of them. I don't know what they are now. They were 21-4 at one point without Porzingis. My guess is I don't know what the math is. Maybe they're 23-5 now. I can't remember when that stat happened. But they clearly miss him on both ends. But I do wonder if the bar is too high because we just look at them and then we
Yeah.
see the Wolves and the Nuggets play and we're like, come on, this team doesn't look like they're playing like that type of basketball. But it's also just it's a weird offensive team because nothing is ultra easy. Like I can't remember the last time Jason Tatum just blew by someone in the half court for an easy bucket at the rim. Like
Right.
everything feels laborious on offense. And they're a team when you have someone like Jason Tatum who's made all these all NBA teams, who is in his prime, you think he is going to be your run stopper. You think he's going to be the one who's getting you easy baskets. And there aren't going to be games when Derek White or Jaylen Brown are your best player. You expect Tatum to be your best guy every single night. And this Cavs team, yeah, Mobley's had a breakout. Mitchell's been the best player in the series so far. But it just feels like they should be running over this team in a way that they're not.
But they are. Like,
But they are, but they aren't. Like you
yeah.
felt it too when they're up by
Yeah.
23 in game 3. You're like, all right, just go up by 30. We can go full Bill Simmons for a second. You thought there's gonna be a lot of ice on the knees, high fives on the bench, shooting shirts on, and instead you look up and it's like, no, it's 6 minutes left and it's an 8-point game or a 9-point game, and like, yeah, they managed to get themselves out of it, but what happens if Jaylen Brown misses that three and then Mitchell comes down and hits one and it becomes real tight nut crunching time? And
Yeah, but
those
we
things
haven't
are like
had that though. It's like
we haven't had that, but part of that is that because of the Eastern Conference.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think that we see the same thing, but I'm trying to be honest about this. They've been beating the dog out of all of these teams in the Eastern Conference all year long. They continue to do it through the playoffs, and it feels somewhat unfair, even though I think we all feel the same way to base our analysis on this team or our trepidation on this team on vibes and last year because their stats are immaculate. They've lost 2 games that like feel like just modern basketball. And I also think that part of the thing I don't like about them, I'm going to stop equivocating and jump fully on your side that I don't trust the Celtics, is that they do seem pretty reliant on the 3. And I remember back before the Warriors won their first title and Charles Barkley was very adamant that they can't win a title shooting jump shots. And he ended up being proven wrong. But I think that team was
4
different.
times.
Yeah, but I just mean before they did it.
Yeah.
Before they did it, it was a thing. And
Yeah.
I think looking back on that team now, they seem like a jump shooting team relative to the rest of the teams in the league. But they also had 2 of the best shooters in the history of the game, probably the 2 best shooters in the history of the game. So you can rely on that. But they also had other facets to their game, to their offense. That's the thing that it feels like this Celtics team is like an underdog in the NCAA tournament where they're like, you know how we're going to win? Just get hot. Who was the team that did it last year in March Madness or this March? There was some team we like had to learn some random white guy's name for a week. You remember that hit a bunch of shots off the bench? He had like 10 threes.
Jack Golke. Jack
Yeah.
Golke was our guy.
They out here Golkian. Like, what are y'all doing? And I think that's what makes me nervous is like they play a style of play that is like if you're undermanned. Like it's just like they come out there with a bunch of trick plays if they're a football team. So yeah, it makes me nervous. I'm on your side.
Yeah.
I don't trust them. I'm a week away from just saying that I thought they're going to win the title, and I'm off that.
They could still win the title because their calling card is being a dominant defensive team, and that's what they are. But it just feels like they offensively settle a lot, and it doesn't even necessarily feel like they settle because it feels like that's the way their offense is built, and it seems like it's built in a flawed way. And we can dance around the Missoula stuff. There's been a lot of criticism about him as a coach. He ended up finishing 4th in Coach of the Year, and he's been the backbone of their defensive scheme. Like people have talked about it. He's one of the most creative defensive coaches in the league. He's got them playing really hard. But when you look at the new NBA with the prison rules, it doesn't their defense is awesome. Doesn't feel like Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards guarding Jamal Murray in that game. It just feels different with this team. And this might be one of the things that maybe they'll put this in the montage of us sounding really stupid if they go out and just beat the hell out of everyone and win the title. But they don't have that luck. They don't have that luck of a team that's ready to kick everyone's ass.
That's what I don't want to be a part of that. That's why I'm hesitant because I do not want to participate in this they don't look right. While they're also kicking to the teams that they're playing.
Yeah, look at you being all logical, but they don't have the luck. And you know it. I know it.
I mean, these aren't prison rules. When my uncle got out of jail, it was a lot more aggressive when we played basketball in the backyard. It was a lot more physical. He could not hoop at all.
Okay.
He did. He didn't play. Just fouled me and my brother. We still beat that.
It's playing like a football player.
He was not. He was playing like prisoner 13769.
So Celtics are making the NBA Finals?
Sure, why not? Oh, Charlie getting uncomfortable. It's the best.
Yeah, I was all in on farts. It's now out of my domain.
Oh, it's been fun. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great playoff so far. Charlie, you're awesome. Thank you to you and all the great producers. Sadly, no thank you for Podville this time, but thank you to Cortez, Megan, Serafina, Brian, and Kevin. Oh, rate, review, all that stuff. Then, yeah. Apparently, I don't remind you guys to do this. So, hey guys, write some reviews and give me 5 stars and tell a friend to tell a friend. Get these numbers up.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.